Hello friends, welcome to SLT Learning. This is Ankit Prajapati. Today we are going to start the series for the MySQL, and in this series we are going to learn everything about the MySQL, right? How you can install it, what are the use of the MySQL in your job role as a software engineer, or if you are working as an automation tester, right? I'm going to take the MySQL instead of the SQL because there are many tutorials available on the MS SQL on the internet, but I can find very few of the for the MySQL, right? So I'm going to take the MySQL in this particular series, right? And who can watch this video? I would say anyone who is belong to the IT field can go through this video, right? Because SQL is always helpful for us if you are working as a developer or automation tester, right? After this series, after this video series, you will get all the information about the SQL, how you can write the queries, right? How you can work on the different type of the database. You can also handle the interview questions if you're facing any interview, or you can also give some the on the spot query writing as well on the interview as well. So let's start. Let me show you something how you can install the MySQL first. Okay. So for that, what I have kept, because on this particular video I'm going to just show you how we can install the MySQL, right? So there are two URL which we need to make sure. You can see from over here you can download the MySQL for your Windows or for your Mac based on your operating system, right? You can select the operating system and you can download the MySQL, right? So you can also download the MSI installer. Just go and download and then just run it. Once you download it, it will download the exe file, right? And it allow you to run it. And if you want to go to the detailed steps, right? So there is one wonderful tutorial available already on the internet. You can just follow this tutorial, right? This is very useful. If you go down, right? If you go down over here, they show you how to install the MySQL, right? So what I will do, I will share these two links in this video tutorial. Let me just make a note, right? Learning my so how to install, right? So what you can do, you can just follow this tooling. First go and download, right? And second, follow the steps. If you follow the steps, it will be very straightforward. You just go next, and it will allow it will be give you all the screen information what you need to require to install the MySQL, right? So now we shall begin on the things once you install the MySQL, right? But before that, let me tell you why the database, why the SQL is, what are the different use of the SQL, right? You can write the SQL query to retrieve the data from the database. You can write the SQL query to insert some data into the database. You can also use the update. You can also use for the deletion operation as well. So that's a very key fundamental to use the SQL in the software line. Okay, so once you install these things, once you install the MySQL, right, you will get the MySQL workbench like that way. You can see at the bottom of my screen. So I'm now going to click on that, right? I'm going to click on that, and I will just show you how the overview look of the MySQL workbench, right? So it will be look like that way. Once you install in the first place, you can create the new MySQL connection by clicking on this plus sign, right? You can just give the connection name. You just test the connection. So let me just say test connection over here, and everything will be set up based on the things I have given in the installation. And I'll click on the test connection. It says successfully made MySQL connection. And what I can do, I can just click OK. So it will be add that connection over here, you see. So this is how you can create a different connection if you're working on the different project. If you want to separate your database for each and every project, you can like create the connection like that way. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take one of the connections. So let's we take this one, the Ankit one. And once you click on that, it will be open this default Windows screen, right? So over here you can see these are the few default database they provide us for the practice, the Sakila and the systems and the world, right? So you can see if you go into the table, you can find different city, country, and country language. And in the table of Sakila, you will find about the film category and Bollywood information over there, right? So these are the information which is by default given by the MySQL for the beginner to practice. But we will learn about how to create our own database, how can we can create our own tables, how can insert the information, how can update the information, and all those things, right? So before that, this tutorial I'm creating for the people who don't have the IT background or who are the beginner in the SQL side, right? So first of all, let's we understand what are the different languages in the SQL we have. Okay. So for that, let me just open the MS Paint and I will show you. So first of all, we have the DDL, right? When I says DDL, that means data definition language, right? This is a data definition language. What is the data definition language do, guys? As the name suggests, it will give some basic operation like to create the database, to alter the database, and to drop the database, right? So whenever we need to do any operations which help us to do the something to do with the definition of the table or the database, then we can consider as a data definition language. So what are the different operation come under the data definition, right? So I will just say is we have the create, then we have the alter operation, we can use the drop operation, and we have another rename. So these are the different operation available under the data definition language, right? So this is one of the interview question as well. As the beginner level, they will ask you what are the DDL, what is the DDL, right? So you should answer like that way. The DDL is a data definition language. It contains these 4 operations. See, these are the 4 operations you can consider under the data definition language. Then what is the next? What will be the next? So the next will be the, I will say, is the data manipulation language, right? The DML, right? DML. So I will just write over here DML, right? And what is the full form of that? Data manu data manipulation language, right? So as the name suggests, it will help us to manipulate the data, right? When I say manipulate the data, that means insert, update, delete, and we can also consider the select in the same as well, because it helps us to retrieve the data, it helps us to insert the data, it helps us to update the existing record, and it helps us to remove or delete the records, right? So these are the common actions available on the data manipulation language. So let me just write down those operations over here. So what I will say is, first we insert the information, right? For any blank database or blank table, we first make insert, then we can do the select, then we can do the update on that information, and if we require, we do the delete, right? So these are the information we do, these are the operation we do under the DML, that data manipulation language. Now what is next? The next will be the TML, transactional control language, right? So it will help us to manage the transactions. So when I will say transaction, that means the transaction in the SQL is the combination of some queries or script which help us to fulfill some operations, which help us to complete some operations, right? So let's take the one example of transaction. If you're exchanging something, right? If you're saying, like, if you're withdrawing the money from the ATM, that is also, you can consider one type of transaction. So what it will do in the background, it will fire some update query to your bank account balance. This much amount is deducted and this is your new balance, right? So that is, we can call the transactions, right? So if you want to manage those transaction, we can use the TCL statement, okay, the transaction control language. So let me just tell you, you just write it down. This is very useful, guys. If somebody asks you to explain about the basic languages or basic structure of the SQL languages, you can explain like that way. So it should be the transactional control language, right? Transaction control language. So this is the third language you can consider under the SQL. And what are the different operation, right, you can do over here? So in the transaction control language, these are the different commands, or these are the different function which is available in the SQL, which is used to change made by the DML statement, most of the DML statements. So whenever you do the select, insert, update, and delete, at that time you can use the transaction control language. So in that we do the basic operations, the basic commands we use. It's commit, commit the change, right? Or roll back the transaction, commit the transaction, roll back the transaction. And another is we have is save point. Means if you want to save the transaction at particular states, right? So if you want to roll back it, you can easily roll back it without making any changes in the database. So you can use the save point as well. So commit, you can commit the transaction permanently on the database if you're making a delete, update, or anything. Rollback will allow you to restore the information of the last committed state, right? And the save point, as I told you, the save point is help you to temporarily save a transaction, so you can easily roll back at the point of whenever you required. So these are the different operations on this TCL. So let me just make the block for this one as well. So these are the different operations under the TCL. Now the last one I would say is and very useful if you consider as a world database, right? The data control language, or yeah, the data control language. So what the data control language will do, we just write it down over here. The fourth one, it is called data control language, right? The data control language, what the data control language do, it uses data control language. So what it will do, it will allow the users, the different users available on the database, to do certain tasks, to perform certain tasks like the delete, update information on a particular table or particular database. It will be allow to give some access to the different roles available on the database. You know, the root is one of the role, like you have the SA in the MySQL. So these are the different users available in the database, right? If you want to give some authorization or authentication to any of them user to access particular information under the database, then you can use these commands. So what are the commands we have? We have two commands over here: grant and revoke, right? So using the grant, what you can do, you can give the permission to specific user to do the certain task on the database or the table. Using the revoke, you can cancel, you can revert back, you can take the permission, take out the permission from the user. And sometimes the denied permission message will come because you do not have the permission to perform certain operations on the tables or the database, right? So these are the things, these are the family, I would say, about the SQL, right? We should always consider these things. And in the next session, we are going to learn one by one for each of them. So I will just say these are the different SQL family tree, right? If you learn these things, and after learning these things, all these operations, create, alter, drop, rename, insert, select, update, delete, commit, rollback, save point, grant, and revoke, then you need to just brush up your few of the skill, like you need to work on the different function like the average function, sum function, right? Then you need to work on the different joins, how you can work on the different joins, right? And all those things we will going to cover in this particular series of MySQL. So you can do one thing, if you like this video, right, you can just subscribe to our channel, right, and follow our page on the Facebook as well. If you have any questions, then just let us know, and we will we will get back to you with the proper answer about the sense. So in the next video, we are going to learn about the data definition language, right? How you can create the database, how you can create the tables, right? How you can alter the information under the tables. So in the next video, we are going to work actually over here in the MySQL workbench. Okay, so this is the just first part, just introductory part for the MySQL. So you can just keep these notes with you. You can keep these notes with you and let us know if you have any question on that. Okay. So thank you very much for watching this video, guys, and just follow us on the page and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you have any difficulty, just let us know. We will definitely help you out. Thank you very much. Yeah. Take care. Bye.